Hearing no objections, so ordered. Unfinished business. Alderman Mitchell, I believe there's one item of unfinished business.
Correct, Madam President. I am aware of one item of unfinished business that was noticed pursuant to Rule 41. It is a substitute resolution concerning the recognition of India's 74th anniversary of Independence Day and a call for condemnation of violence against certain castes and faith groups. I defer to Alderman Haddon.
The chair recognizes Alderman Haddon.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to my colleagues. For months now, we've heard from public commenters about this resolution, Resolution 2020-583, celebrating India's democracy. I introduced the original non-binding resolution in July. After hearing concerns from the Indian government, my office, working with the Chicago Coalition for Human Rights in India, agreed to make some changes out of consideration for those concerns. Our substitute resolution passed committee unanimously in February. Some of my colleagues have told me that they don't feel comfortable voting on a resolution because they don't have a good understanding of the issues being brought to them, and I get it. When 49th Ward residents brought me this request, I was hesitant. But after reading about the issue and seeing the threats to democracy that mirrored some of what we had been experiencing under the Trump administration, it was clear that speaking up on behalf of residents who asked me to serve as their voice was the right thing to do. Our resolution states a few simple facts. India is the world's largest democracy. India has been a wonderful, valued partner with our country and the city of Chicago. We celebrate India and its achievements. And also, democracies live or die on the issue of governments respecting the rights of citizens to live free from oppression. Religious oppression based on skin color, class, or caste have no place in a healthy democracy. Not here, not anywhere. Moreover, language in this resolution is reflective of the current position of President Joe Biden and our current federal government. And the language of our ordinance mirrors some of the very language on Biden's website. To those who think it is not the place of Chicago City Council to use our platform to speak out on issues outside of our city, specifically when our residents bring these issues to our attention, I ask you to consider an example. In 1984, when then 29th Ward Alderman, now Congressman Danny Davis, entered a resolution in council condemning apartheid in South Africa. That also passed. I've met with India's Consul General. I gather many of you have as well, and I respect the right of a sovereign nation to lobby for their own behalf and their own benefit. I've also met with many people organizing the opposition to this non-binding resolution over the last couple of months, because I respect others' rights to dissenting opinions and views. It makes for a healthy democracy. The main argument that they've brought to me as to why I should withdraw this resolution was that bringing up these issues causes conflict or disharmony here. The intent was never to cause disharmony. And if you look at the language of the resolution itself, you'll see that this is clear. And the support that I've heard has been unwavering and strong. The residents who are asking you to vote yes in support of this resolution are doing so because their voices and the voices of their families are being silenced. As a Black woman, my family and I are very familiar with hearing arguments from people who don't want us to bring up issues or talk about systemic oppression because it, quote unquote, creates conflict. Religious freedom, freedom from persecution based on caste, class, or race are core tenets of democracy and are worth defending. I say thank you to Chicago South Asian community and to the residents in my ward who asked me to lift up and amplify their voices on this issue and trusted me to see it through. I ask my colleagues for your support on this. And if there are no other comments, Madam President, I move passage of this resolution by the first favorable roll call on the Committee on Finance.
Alderman Cardenas. The chair recognizes, the chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wish to be recorded as not in support of this item. I'm all in favor of us taking large positions, using our soapbox. But this is a very divisive issue. My office, as I'm sure many of yours, have received thousands of people communicating with us overwhelmingly in opposition to this resolution. Yes, Consul General of India has reached out. That is how much this impacts a broader community and a broader discussion. And if we cannot hold it to be more inclusive of a conversation of the greater Indian community, then I would ask my colleagues to vote no on this item and to do so by a roll call vote. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Alderman Lopez. The chair recognizes Alderman Cardenas.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll begin voting no on this, and let me explain why. Nationalism is on the rise here and abroad. In this case, we have a Prime Minister, Modi, who is ruler of India, and he's the Trump-like of India, stoking nationalism. And I think for us to take sides in this issue will further divide our local communities, both Hindu and Muslim. Leadership, world leadership, I guess, from Prime Minister Modi is to be condemned. And the reason why I think the resolution landed in the council is because Congress has failed to pass a resolution in the Foreign Affairs Committee condemning Prime Minister Modi for his tactics in Kashmir takeover. And for us, it's difficult because we've been obviously with many calls, flooded with many calls. Our offices, we've not been able to do our day-to-day functions in the ward because we've been having calls from Hindus and Muslims and others that care about this resolution. And I don't want to minimize this. It's an important issue, obviously, for those communities, and it's a global issue that I think Congress is going to deal with it sooner or later at the proper level, State Department and the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Congress. And our congressmen are probably going to take the issue up, and they should. But think of this. Think of if we take this on, why not take on the Chinese Uyghur ethnic cleansing conflict debate? Why not deal with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? How about Boko Haram in Nigeria and the exploitation of women and the raping of women and pillaging of villages? And we go on, because there's many, many issues that I think are important. We are a global city. I consider us a global city. But we have many pressing issues here at home that need our attention. And I love to debate these issues. I love the area of international affairs. I studied it, and I love it. But I think, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, this is a place that I think we could hear a resolution and be pro or against it, but not divisive. I would be remiss if I don't recognize the fact that we've done many resolutions in this council. Apartheid is different than this. I don't equate those two. I really don't. That's why I can't support it. I think we ought to be uniting our communities and getting them together to talk about their own conflicts and not fuel it. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Taliaferro.
Thank you, Madam President. As a matter of order, Madam President, is the Law Department available to opine as to whether or the effects of a no vote or an abstention of vote in comparison to those two as an outcome on a favorable vote? Is the Law Department available?
Let me confer with the parliamentarian. In response to the question, I'm advised by the parliamentarian, and we remind members that if you are present, you are required to vote yes or no. And in this circumstance, present means you are in your chair and you are available to vote. So if you are in your chair at the time that the roll call is called, and there has been a request for a roll call, you are required to vote yes or vote no. There is no voting present.
Thank you, Madam President.
Alderman Taliaferro, does that answer your question?
It does, Madam President. Thank you.
Okay. The chair recognizes Alderman Burnett.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the opportunity to travel to India several years ago with a group called the American Council of Young Political Leaders. Of course, that's when I was younger. And I went with a bunch of young elected officials from around the country, Democrats and Republicans. And we get to India and we're hosted by different political parties in India, the BJP, the TDP, the Congress Party, you know, all of them. And they take us to a gathering that evening. And the only thing they can talk about to us is, why is your president involved in India? They was like, why are they involved with Kashmir? Why are they involved with us fighting our brothers, or our brothers and us not agreeing with each other? They were like, this is not your business. And, you know, we was like dumbfounded because we didn't know what they were talking about. But they were like, this is not your business. This is a civil thing with us in India, and it's none of you all's business to get involved. And we were hearing this from elected officials from across India, basically telling us, Hindus and Muslims, basically telling us, let us fight our thing out, man. Stay out of our business. So I feel like this is their business, and I'm going to be voting no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Laspada.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very proud to stand in support of this resolution and with Alderman Haddon. It is frequently said, this isn't our work. This is for another level to consider. It should be done at the federal level or the state level. We're told there's always another campaign. This is about our voices. This is about our solidarity. Solidarity never says we should stay out of this. Solidarity says there is oppression and injustice and intolerance happening, and we stand on the side of the oppressed. That is our work. That's the choice that we're making today. I have the profoundest respect for Alderman Haddon for hearing the cries of oppression in her community, for her choosing to stand in that solidarity. And that is the decision today. It's not whether there are other fights elsewhere, other issues to be considered. It is the issue in front of us today, and whether we choose to stand in solidarity with those who are being discriminated against. That is where my yes vote is coming from today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderwoman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to commend my colleague, Alderwoman Maria Haddon, for her courage in standing with the people of India. I want to say that leadership is about making decisions. It's about taking positions. And the idea that because we're in city council in Chicago and we're not in India, and we cannot take a position on an issue of justice is very problematic to me. I think that internationalism is a value that we need to cultivate. We are definitely a city that welcomes immigrants. We are a city that is made out of people from everywhere. And we should be learning what is happening in all of these countries. We should know where we stand in these issues. So I am a yes in this resolution, and I invite my colleagues to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. The chair recognizes Alderman Sixto Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also would like to rise in support of the resolution introduced by Alderwoman Haddon. I also want to commend her for standing up for her constituents on a civil rights issue that affects, of course, also our own communities here of Indian descent. I think that we cannot be we cannot be silent when we see injustices in other communities and that affect us. We have constituents that are being affected, and they want to make sure that we take a position on a civil rights matter, a matter that should be concerned to all of us. Injustices anywhere are injustices everywhere. I do think our council has a moral obligation to take stances, and resolutions like this are important because they are moral documents, making sure that we condemn oppression, that we condemn violations to civil rights wherever they occur, including here in our own city. It is very important that we weigh in because this makes sure that it sends a message to our constituents that we care, that we're looking into. There are conversations happening at the federal level, they're happening in every level of government, and our council has a responsibility with every single community. We have seen, and I'm glad Alderman Tani has also introduced a resolution to condemn anti-Asian hate crimes. It's very important that we weigh in these issues, that we condemn racism wherever it is, that we condemn injustices wherever they occur. And I'm glad our colleague, Alderwoman Haddon, is taking a stance on this. I urge our colleagues, we need to start wading into these issues and not getting lobbied by special interest groups so that we don't do what is right and what's fair to analyze issues. This is an issue that affects constituents in our communities who have families who live in India, who have relationships, and we need to make sure that we do this. I really want to urge our colleagues to make sure that we take action on an issue that is very clear-cut. We got to stand on the side of civil rights, and we have to stand on the side of justice. And thank you, Alderwoman Haddon, for taking on this issue. We commend your leadership.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I too stand with my colleague, Alderwoman Haddon, on this resolution. A resolution that's supported by Congresswoman Schakowsky, Congresswoman Newman, and my Congressman, Jesus Chuy Garcia. I thank them for adding their voice. And I want to reiterate something that my colleague said that was in my planned remarks. And I think it bears reiterating, stating again. A threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And over our decades as a country, we know we have a history in which we have looked the other way. A very rich history of looking the other way. And we shouldn't look the other way and use the excuse that this is not in our backyard, so it's not our business. I thank you, Alderwoman Haddon, for being strong on this, for gathering the support of our some of our congressional delegation. Bottom line is this resolution should not be deemed offensive. This resolution is rather very simple in its complexity. And I urge a yes vote for justice from my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I too rise in support of this resolution. I want to note that President Biden has come out and criticized Prime Minister Modi. As my colleague Alderman Rodriguez noted, members of our congressional delegation have come forward and supported this resolution and also decried the actions of Prime Minister Modi. This is the right position that we should be taking as a Chicago City Council. It recognizes, as Alderman Mike Rodriguez also stated, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We cannot remain silent when we see hatred and racism and bigotry being promoted by the Indian government. We have a responsibility to stand up. And I'm shocked to hear some of our colleagues recognize that Prime Minister Modi is the Trump of India, but in that same breath say, well, I'm not going to pick a side. And I'm shocked to hear some of my colleagues say that we should just let them figure it out. What if we had done that as a council when apartheid was being debated and fought against in South Africa? What if the white supremacists in South Africa had come to us and lobbied us and said, well, let us figure it out. It's too controversial an issue. Don't pick a side. We have a responsibility to stand on the side of justice. And that's why San Francisco, that's why Seattle, two major American cities, progressive cities, democratic cities, have stood with the Indian people and said no to the racist, backwards policy of Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi's policies are the ones that are promoting hatred and violence in India, not the people that are denouncing it. That is gaslighting. That is a distortion of the reality to say that people that are denouncing policies that cause racism are the ones that are therefore then promoting racism. We see white supremacists and extremists do this to people in the United States all the time. When we try and talk about racism, they tell us that somehow we are the ones that are causing discord when we're fighting for justice. So Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the greatest of all Americans, said that silence is betrayal. We cannot remain silent on this issue. We've got to take a stand. And we should join President Biden. We should join members of our congressional delegation. We should join Seattle and San Francisco in standing up for human rights in India. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam President. I won't add much more to what has been so eloquently put by my colleagues in support of this resolution. I want to commend Alderwoman Maria Hadden really for carrying this through a long amount of time and having a lot of opposition to it. It shows a lot of resolve and a lot of representation and solidarity for groups that have been oppressed otherwise. And I think it's absolutely in our responsibility to be able to call that out, because injustice should not be protected by any borders. And when we think about, trying to say that this is somebody else's fight and we should stay out of it, it's just something that as a sister city to New Delhi, as a country that has had our own problems with racism and xenophobia, we should be calling that out across the board and be open to when it's called out from our country. And so to have to separate things in any manner and to say, oh, we can't speak on that based on where something is located is just unjust in general. I think it makes perfect sense for folks who want to decide to not be in support. They have every right to do that, just as we have every right to be in support. And in speaking to the Consul General of India and some of the other people in opposition, I thank them for raising the conversation and having the dialogue. But we do know what we have to stand for, and it is justice and standing for those that have been oppressed anywhere in the world. And as a global city, we should do that. So I am in support, and I urge our colleagues to be in support as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman David Moore.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I want to commend Alderman Maria Hadden for taking this on. For me, anytime I hear about any injustice, I sign on to it. Then I look into it and hopefully delve and get the information. But when there's not sometimes enough information for me, just as I tell my constituents, some of my relatives who don't get into politics, I say, trust me, because I'm looking at certain issues. I'm delving into them. So trust my leadership, trust my opinion. So I have advisors and friends. I'm not so keen on lobbyists. So while I got many letters to vote no for this, I didn't know those folks. And I still wanted to support it because my colleague Maria Hadden, who I know has a good heart and want to do the right thing, hopefully looked at that issue. But when a very good friend of mine, who I've known for years, who I know has a heart of gold, and we've all constantly had these conversations about injustices, asked me not to vote no for this, I had to give him a call and understand why. When he began to break this down to me, it was so complex that I needed to say, I need a subject matter hearing on this, because I don't want to be on the wrong side of the issue here. And as it was just stated in the city council, we cannot abstain. And since we cannot abstain, we have to be strong enough to take a position. And because he's someone that I trust, who's a voice of passion that I've always trusted on in the Indian community, and he asked me not to support this, I have to say no, because I don't have enough information to say yes to go against somebody that I trust. but I have no doubt that my colleague Maria Haddon is feeling and doing what she thinks is best. And yes, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, but I don't fully have a grasp of that injustice. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair, Alderman Spizzato.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't mean to belabor this point, but just felt the need to say a couple things. A lot of it was said. Alderman Cardenas really hit the spot very well, Alderman. Thank you for what you said. And I, too, don't want to minimize what's going on, but there's atrocities going on all over the world. This is something we're going to be every meeting and looking into this stuff and weighing in on it. I just don't think it's our business to weigh in on this. I, too, like everybody else, was inundated with calls and emails and whatever else. But once again, like my good friend Alderman Moore said, when people that you in your community reach out to you, people that you believe in, trust in, you know, they're good, hardworking, honest people, whatever, ask for your support. I feel that I have to give them my support. So I think this is just not a good thing for us to get involved with. And I just want to weigh in one last time. I don't mean to pick a fight with you, Mayor, but I don't see how, if somebody doesn't vote, that would count as a yes or a no, because people are off of this. People are out of this meeting by now. So people have already left. It's already 2:30. So I don't know if you see them there and they're not saying nothing, that's one thing. But if they're not here, I mean, if it ends up being 21-19 one way or another, and 10 people didn't vote, I don't think the 21 carries because you didn't get enough votes. But that's all I have to say. I debated this with legal counsel. I guess we'll find out somewhere down the line who's right and who's wrong. But I appreciate everybody's comments, and I will be voting no. Thank you very much, Madam President.
In light of Alderman Spizzato's last comments, I feel compelled to remind the council of the following. Rule 14, the first paragraph says, and I quote, "Every member who shall be present when a question is slated from the chair shall vote thereon unless excused by the council," end quote. That is the basis that the parliamentarian has indicated. You must vote yes, you must vote no if you are present. There is no provision in the city council rules for voting present or being in your seat and remaining silent. Those are your rules. The last hand that I see is Jason Irvin.
All right, for the marathon as we continue to go. Two things. One, to make a comparison of apartheid to this is absolutely inappropriate. You talk about apartheid, you talk about a majority being totally suppressed in their desires to be free and to live a peaceful life. It just seems like every time that something pops up, they want to put the Black experience into whatever their equation is. Let's talk about oppression. Let's talk about things, and we could talk about that. I can look right outside this window here and talk about that right here on the west side of Chicago. Before we go jumping across the water, as they say, charity begins at home. And we need to be focusing our full time, effort, and energy on helping young Black boys close the achievement gap, to help our young women figure out the murders of young Black women. There's a lot that we could be doing with our time, efforts, energy, and power. I don't have any ought against the alderman of the 49th Ward for bringing this forward as a matter for her constituents. That's her right. But also, we must, as a city, focus on the energies and challenges and problems that we have here. And just as Alderman Moore, I have constituents in the Indian community that live in the 28th Ward, and the majority of them are not supportive of the resolution. And again, I think we have more than enough work in the city of Chicago. If we want to talk about oppression, we want to talk about racism, we want to talk about, other issues that have impacted members of the community. But again, I understand that people have a right to propose any type of legislation that they wish. However, unfortunately, we would not support this because, again, I look out this window and I see young men and young women that don't have jobs. I see young men and young women that can barely read. I see young men and young women that have lost a level of hope. And I don't think that they would appreciate their aldermen focusing on what's going on 8,000 miles away when I got challenges 2 blocks from the door that I live. So with that, I unfortunately will not be supporting this matter. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Alderman. The chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. This would be my second time, but it's a procedural item to make. I don't know if you want to proceed with Chairman Osterman first.
Thank you for that. You called for a roll call. Let's go to Chairman Osterman, and then if there's no other comments from anybody who hasn't spoke, let's do a roll call vote.
I appreciate Alderman Lopez yielding me his time. I just really wanted to say that I really want to support what Alderman Jason Irvin said about his community and communities on the South Side. I think that what he sees outside of his window is all of our issue, and we should focus on it like a laser. So I think I understand Alderman Haddon's position on this. I'll be supporting this with her, but we've got real work to do in Chicago that affects us all, specifically in communities on the South and West Side. And I think I just want to say that that's something that is important for me, and I look forward to working with my colleagues on those issues that affect us all.
Thank you, Alderman Osterman. Alderman King, you're the last person to raise your hand. So we'll have you speak, and then we'll have a roll call vote. We're 4.5 hours into this city council meeting. I think we need to move on to other business.
No, thank you, Madam President. I wasn't planning on speaking about this, and I certainly agree that that we should focus on priorities here in the city of Chicago. I honestly don't think that we bring up some of the priorities, most of the priorities that we should be talking about in the city council. And so we should seek to do that. There are a lot of concerns right here in our backyard. In fact, when I spoke with the Consulate General of India, he used that by saying, well, what if we were to point out the things that were going on here, the high crime, the shootings? And I thought about it and I said, I would actually welcome that. I think, we need to recognize our issues, and that doesn't excuse other issues. When you talk about whether it's a family issue or not, I agree. I believe in family, but sometimes, we need to step in and rescue people from the outside that are in families that can't be rescued. And it came here right on in the United States. I mean, Trump and Modi were best friends. They had a rally together. And we know, what hate that Trump spewed. So I don't think that we can ignore what's going on in other countries. And this is here before us today. And we're supposed to decide today whether we agree with it or not. It is perhaps not a priority within the context of our city, but it is before us today. So, I appreciate Alderman Haddon's courage because there have been a lot of loud voices. That doesn't mean there are right voices. And I will be supporting this resolution. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Alderman Lopez.
Thank you, Madam President. In recognizing that there are only 43 members on the Zoom call now, I'd like to call quorum before we go to the roll.
Lopez, with due respect, I would urge you to withdraw your motion for a quorum. I can see the members of the body. A vast majority of the members are logged on, and to have a quorum call, then followed by a roll call, seems redundant and unnecessary. But if you want to put your colleagues through that, obviously that is your call. But I don't believe, based upon looking at the number of people that are logged onto this call, that a quorum call is necessary. But again, if you want to put your colleagues through a quorum call followed by a roll call, then by all means, sir.
Thank you.
What is your pleasure? What is your pleasure, sir?
Quorum call, please.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Alderman Laspada.
Here.
Alderman Hopkins.
Present.
Alderman Dowell.
Here.
Alderman King. Alderman King.
I apologize, I was muted. Present.
Alderman Hairston.
Present.
Alderman Sawyer.
Right here.
Alderman Mitchell.
Present.
Alderman Harris.
Here.
Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderman Sadlowski Garza.
Still here.
Alderman Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Cardenas.
Here.
Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke. Alderman Burke. Alderman Lopez.
Here.
Burke is here. I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute.
Alderman Coleman.
Here.
Alderman Moore.
Present.
Alderman Curtis.
Right here.
Alderman O'Shea.
Here.
Alderman Taylor.
Here, we're never going home.
Alderman Brookins. Alderman Brookins. Alderman Rodriguez.
Gleefully here.
Alderman Tavares.
Here.
Alderman Scott. Alderman Scott. Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Here.
Alderman Maldonado.
Here.
Alderman Burnett.
Here.
Alderman Irvin.
Here.
Alderman Telefiero.
Present.
Alderman Roboyas.
Present.
Alderman Cardona.
Present.
Alderman Wagispack.
Here.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Presente.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
I'm here.
Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderman Mitz.
Present.
Alderman Spizzato.
Nick Sposato is here.
Alderman Nugent. Alderman Nugent. Alderman Vasquez.
I'm still standing here.
Alderman Napolitano.
Present.
Alderman Riley.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Present.
Alderman Tunney. Alderman Tunney. Alderman Gardner.
Present.
Alderman Kappelman. Alderman Kappelman. Alderman Martin.
Present.
Alderman Osterman.
Present.
Alderman Haddon.
Present.
Alderman Silverstein. Alderman Silverstein. Your Honor, there are 44 members present.
And with 44 members, Peter, is that a quorum?
Yes, the quorum is 26.
Yeah, that's what I thought. 26 is a quorum, correct?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on this resolution.
Alderman Laspada.
Aye.
Alderman Hopkins.
No.
Alderman Hopkins votes no. Alderman Dowell.
No.
Alderman Dowell votes no. Alderman King.
Aye.
Alderman King votes yea. Alderman Hairston.
Aye.
Alderman Hairston votes yea. Alderman Sawyer.
Aye.
Alderman Sawyer votes yea. Alderman Mitchell.
No.
Alderman Mitchell votes nay. Alderman Harris.
No.
Alderman Harris votes nay. Alderman Beal.
No.
Alderman Beal votes nay. Alderman Sadlowski Garza.
Aye.
Alderman Sadlowski Garza votes yea. Alderman Thompson.
No.
Alderman Thompson votes nay. Alderman Cardenas.
No.
She keep
Alderman Cardenas votes nay. Alderman Quinn.
No.
Alderman Quinn votes nay. Alderman Burke.
No.
Alderman Burke votes nay. Alderman Lopez.
I am a no.
Alderman Lopez votes nay. Alderman Coleman.
No.
Alderman Coleman votes nay. Alderman Moore.
No.
Alderman Moore votes nay. Alderman Curtis.
No.
Alderman Curtis votes nay. Alderman O'Shea.
No.
Alderman O'Shea votes nay. Alderman Taylor.
Yes.
Alderman Taylor votes yea. Alderman Brookins. Alderman Brookins. Alderman Rodriguez.
Aye.
Alderman Rodriguez votes yea. Alderman Tavares.
Nay.
I'm sorry, Alderman.
No.
Alderman Tavares votes nay. Alderman Scott. Alderman Scott. Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Aye.
Alderman Cicho Lopez votes yea. Alderman Maldonado.
Aye.
Alderman Maldonado votes yea. Alderman Burnett.
No.
Alderman Burnett votes nay. Alderman Irvin.
No.
Alderman Irvin votes nay. Alderman Telefiero.
No.
Alderman Telefiero votes nay. Alderman Raboyes.
Said yes. No.
Alderman Raboyes votes nay. Alderman Cardona.
Said yes, the meeting's still.
No.
Alderman Cardona votes nay. Alderman Wagaspack.
Yeah.
Alderman Wagaspack.
That's a yes in a different language.
Alderman Wagaspack votes yea. Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Yes.
Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez votes yea. Alderman Austin.
No.
Alderman Austin votes nay. Alderman Ramirez Rosa.
Yes.
Alderman Ramirez Rosa votes yea. Alderman Villegas.
No.
Alderman Villegas votes nay. Alderman Mitz.
No.
Alderman Mitz votes nay. Alderman Spizzato.
Nick Spizzato votes no.
Alderman Spizzato votes nay. Alderman Nugent. Alderman Nugent. Alderman Vasquez.
Aye.
Alderman Vasquez votes yea. Alderman Napolitano.
No.
Alderman Napolitano votes nay. Alderman Riley. Alderman Riley. Alderman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Smith votes yea. Alderman Tunney. Alderman Tunney. Alderman Gardner.
No.
Alderman Gardner votes nay. Alderman Kappelman. Alderman Kappelman. Alderman Martin.
Yes.
Alderman Martin votes yea. Alderman Osterman.
Aye.
Alderman Osterman votes yea. Alderman Haddon.
Aye.
Alderman Haddon votes yea. Alderman Silverstein. Alderman Silverstein.
The chair recognizes Alderman Riley.
Alderman Riley votes yay.
Alderman Riley votes yea. Your Honor, there are 18 yeas and 26 nays.
The resolution fails.
You want to make a no vote? Madam President, I would move to reconsider the vote.
Whoa, whoa.
You can't.
To ensure that we're done.
You can't.
You voted in the majority.
Right. But we won.
Madam
So I can
President.
move.
Order.
We are so funny.
The chair recognizes Alderman Cardenas on the motion for reconsideration.
Madam President, I move to reconsider the motion.
All those in favor of the motion for reconsideration signify by saying aye. All those opposed say nay.
No.
Noes have it. The motion for reconsideration fails. Alderman Mitchell, is there any other unfinished business?
Madam President, I am not aware of any unfinished business.